Swamiji, can you explain what is life? How can we avoid angry?
I'm sorry, what is?
Explain what is life.
What is life?
Yeah.
Oh. And what's the second part of it?
How can you avoid angry?
How can you avoid anger? See, if you're driving on the Coimbatore streets, if you're driving in the Coimbatore street, you have to avoid the medians which are placed in odd places. You have to avoid bad drivers. You have to avoid drunken men crossing the street, children crossing the street, all kinds of things. But when you're driving in Coimbatore street, do you have to avoid the moon? I'm asking you, do you have to avoid the moon? No, because the moon is not on the street, isn't it? So similarly, right now are you angry? No? Then why should you avoid it? There's no need to avoid it. It is just that you think anger is an entity. Anger is not an entity. You become angry. You become angry. Anger is not sitting somewhere and you go hit it. There is no such thing. You become angry. When you become angry, is it pleasant for you or unpleasant for you? Unpleasant for you. Unpleasant for others for sure, unpleasant for yourself also. Today, medical science proves to you, when you're angry, you're actually poisoning your system, you know. We have always known this, but today chemical tests clearly show you that you're actually poisoning your system, generating poison in the system by being angry. So, why would you want to poison yourself? It is not a conscious act. You're poisoning yourself, you're causing unpleasantness to yourself only because your mind is not taking instructions from you, isn't it? It is not taking instructions from you. If it was taking instructions from you, you would have said blissfulness, isn't it? You wouldn't say anger. But now when you want to be peaceful, it is getting angry because it is not taking instructions from you. Anger, resentment, hatred, these are all poisons that you drink and you expect somebody else to die. No, life doesn't work like that. You drink poison, you die. It's a very fair life.
Sir, when someone has wronged us or has abused us in some way, we either have feelings of hostility and resentment.
Oh, we must file a suit.
No, in a minor sense, if they abuse us or if they wrong us, we sometimes have feelings of resentment and hostility against them, and sometimes we might tend to forgive them and let it go. So my question here is, where must we draw a line to hold the wrongdoer responsible for what he does, and when should we know to forgive him, and when should we know to let it go? So this is the question.
See, this is not about the other person. The choice for you is this. If you are given a choice, right now, for all of you, if you are given a choice that you can either live joyfully, blissfully, or miserably, or in anger, or in stress, or in resentment, what is your natural choice? You must choose, I'm going to bless you right now. What is your natural choice? Joyfully, isn't it? Because every human being is looking for highest level of pleasantness for himself or herself. You can call it joy, you can call it bliss, these are just words. Essentially, we want highest level of pleasantness for ourselves. If your body becomes pleasant, we call this health. If it becomes very pleasant, we call this pleasure. If your mind becomes pleasant, we call this peace. If it becomes very pleasant, we call this joy. If your emotions become pleasant, we call this love. If it becomes very pleasant, we call it compassion. If your very life energies become pleasant, we call this bliss. If it becomes very pleasant, we call it ecstasy. If your surroundings become pleasant, we call this success. Only to… only to make your surroundings pleasant, you need the cooperation of all these people. Because in creating an external situation, there are many forces involved. Not all of them you even know. You understand? You want to create a wonderful situation for yourself, you don't even know how many forces are working in that area. If you harness a few forces, if they cooperate, things will happen. If they don't cooperate, it won't happen. But for the pleasantness of the body, pleasantness of the mind, pleasantness of your emotion and energy, it's 100% you. Yes or no?
Yes.
Surroundings, creating situations in the surroundings, you need cooperation from the people, otherwise it won't happen. So only for success, you need cooperation. To keep yourself pleasant, it's 100% yours. So right now, you know well that you want to be peaceful, but somebody else is doing something. What are they doing? They know what they know best. They're abusing you. Why are they doing it? Because that's all they know. Yes or no? That is how they know their life, that's why they're doing it. If you become resentful and you think something will happen to them, see, these are things. Anger, resentment, hatred, these are all poisons that you drink and you expect somebody else to die. No, life doesn't work like that. You drink poison, you die. It's a very fair life. If you drink poison, you die. Very fair, isn't it so? I drink poison and you die, is it fair? So, people who are in anger, resentment, hatred, this is their thing. They are drinking poison. When I say poison, I am not saying in a moral sense. There is substantial medical evidence right now that we can show you with a blood test that 5 minutes before you take your blood test right now, 5 minutes you may remain in extreme anger and take your blood test, you will see you're chemically poisoned actually. So you're literally poisoning yourself, thinking it's going to hurt them. No, it's only going to hurt you. So it doesn't make sense to me, that's all. It's not a morality, whether you should get angry or not get angry. It's up to you if you want to make a mess out of yourself.
Sometimes I am afraid even to go home. Why are some women made like this? They are wonderful on one level but quite terrifying on another level.
Never surrender. Human intelligence, genius, brilliance, talent, competence at the altar of good behavior. If she is like a rose plant, you just have to nourish her so that there are also 100 roses for the 100 thorns.
The question is from Mr. Shankar from Tirupalli. Namaskaram, Sadhguru. My wife is a wonderful woman, but she has a sharp tongue. Sometimes I am afraid even to go home. Why are some women made like this? They are wonderful on one level, but quite terrifying on another level. Please throw some light.
Light is coming up. Well, because generally I'm saying, because some women will argue about this, generally women have less muscular strength than a man. When situations go a little out of control, man wants to use his hands because that's all he's got. So a woman, right from her young age, she sharpens her tongue because she knows her muscles are not as big and strong as a man's muscles, so her tongue is maybe way sharper than yours. You can't wag it like her. Generally, this could be true for most people. So, it's not just a sharp tongue. You know, in India, you're from Tirupalli, I think Navaratri is close by. It's all about the Devis or the goddesses in India. Except a few who are very civilized, kind, rest of them, you heard of them? Rakini, Dakini, Lankini, Chinnamasta, Chandi, Kali, Bhairavi, you heard of all of them. Whoa, these are terrifying women, usually tongue hanging out, you've seen blood dripping sometimes from their mouths because they'll bite off your head. But we made such women worship-worthy in our country because of some other quality that they have, like your wife. She's a wonderful woman, wonderful on one level, but quite terrifying on another level. So is Bhairavi, so is Chandi, so is Chamundi, so is Kali, so is Chinnamasta, many of them. They are wonderful on one level, quite terrifying on another level. So it is your skill to get the wonderfulness of their quality towards you, and their terrifying quality goes towards somebody else. The wonderfulness should come for you. That is a skill you have to learn. But the whole idea of why the goddesses are like this is for you to understand, if there is a wonderful quality, either in terms of talent or intelligence or brilliance or some genius within a person, or right now we're talking about women, if there are such qualities in a woman that she has certain streak of genius, or she has extraordinary talents, or she is super wonderful in something, we don't want to surrender her intelligence, her brilliance, her genius, her talent, her skills at the altar of good behavior. Because you can train your puppy dog to behave well. If you want good behavior, that's why everybody these days, instead of getting married, they're getting a dog, you know. Because you can train your puppy for good behavior. So if good behavior is all you're looking for, then that's what you should settle for. But if you're looking for other possibilities, not necessarily always, but sometimes it comes with not so good behavior, maybe sometimes with certain amount of nastiness. It depends what values you're looking for in your life. But I know you are saying, Mr. Shankar, hey, what's your second name? Pillai? Now I'm getting ideas. Well, if you're that one, I'm sure you're skillful enough to handle this terrifying situations. Well, but never surrender. Human intelligence, genius, brilliance, talent, competence at the altar of good behavior. Good behavior can be learnt, intelligence cannot be learnt, genius cannot be learnt, you have to unleash it, you cannot learn it. In the process of unleashing a significant possibility, in case, not necessarily, don't take this as an endorsement of your bad behavior. I'm not saying that. If you want to have some bad behavior, you should show some extraordinary talent or brilliance or intelligence. Otherwise, you have no right to throw yourself around. Even then you have no right, but never surrender significant aspects of human life in the form of intelligence, competence, brilliance, genius at the altar of good behavior, because good behavior can be learnt and it's only socially significant, it has no life significance as such. So, the wonderful wife that you have, if she is like a rose plant, she has 2 roses or 1 rose and 100 thorns. You just have to nourish her so that there are also 100 roses for the 100 thorns. Well, the number of thorns for the size of the plant it stays constant. But the number of flowers can be enhanced. I think that's what you should do with this wonderful wife of yours. I'm sure she's a wonderful woman, but little tongue-lashing department is strong. You must find some other victim for her, and you must get the wonderful part of her.